Hello YouTube. This is my official review of Avengers Infinity War. Before I begin, this footage used in the video is by Furious Trailer. I'll have their link to this video in the description. But yeah, so I've been wanting to talk about Infinity War for a while now. I figured this was a good way to do it. So I've seen the movie twice. I saw it opening weekend and I saw it second weekend. Both times I had different reactions. The first time I kind of just watched for the plot. The second time was when I started to get a couple of nitpicks and kind of noticed more things. So just kind of an overview of how it's going to go. I'm going to give my overall review, which will not have any spoilers. And then I'll go into spoiler territory, talk about what I really liked about the movie. I'll discuss the ending and the post-credits scene. And then I'll talk about the couple of criticisms I have and why they don't affect my overall opinion of the movie. So, no spoilers right here. But, the movie overall, it was amazing. Anthony and Joe Russo have made easily the greatest film in the MCU to date. I love Civil War, and this film was so just good. It doesn't waste much time with character development, which is good because by this point most people understand the characters. It goes right into the action. I mean, pretty much within the opening scene of the movie, you understand how crazy this whole idea of Thanos is. Thanos is the greatest villain the MCU's ever seen. This film is also hilarious, despite it being very desperate. There are jokes throughout the entire film. I was laughing the whole time. Both times I went to see it, I was still laughing at the jokes. The MCU is amazing, and this film definitely took everything that was good about the MCU and just put it into one film. I absolutely loved Infinity War. And if you have not seen it yet and you are a Marvel fan, you need to see it because it is absolutely spectacular. So now let me get into spoiler territory, talk about why I like the movie. So spoiler alert, 5 times spoiler alert, because I'm going to basically be talking about the entirety of the movie and what I liked about it. So let's start with the opening scene. I was expecting some things to happen. I was expecting Loki to die. That was the only death I was expecting in this movie. And it happened within the first 5 minutes. The opening scene was, of course, on the Asgardian vessel. And Hulk being unleashed to fight Thanos was awesome. And I love how Hulk got beat up. And a lot of people, both times I went to see it, my theater was shocked because no one expected the Hulk to get beat up, ever. And it really did highlight how great a villain Thanos was. Then he takes the Power Stone, nearly kills Thor, uses that to get the Tesseract from Loki, has 2 Infinity Stones, kills Loki, kills Heimdall, and escapes. In the first 5 minutes of the movie, he's got 2 Infinity Stones, just killed Loki, beat up Hulk, he did kill Heimdall, nearly killed Thor, and just blew up the whole Asgardian vessel, and left. Thanos as a villain was amazing. And his idea of the whole population thing, I mean, obviously it's evil, but it's interesting how it's not just, he kind of reminds me of Alexander Pierce from Captain America, the Winter Soldier. He believed what he was doing was right, and he said, he kind of had the whole sometimes sacrifices must be made in order to save the greater good kind of mindset that Pierce did. And I liked that, but they did it a lot better in this movie than they did with Winter Soldier. Winter Soldier was good, but I feel like the Russos did it a lot better here. The whole buildup of the movie of him getting the stones was awesome. I could talk about what my favorite scenes were, but it was pretty much the whole movie. Thor meeting the Guardians was hilariously awesome. I really did like what they did with the Reality Stone. I was not expecting that at all the first time I saw it. The second time I was just like, yeah, that's awesome. But yeah, the first time the Reality Stone scene was awesome because like you really expect Gamora to die right there, and they kind of trick you because you're expecting Gamora to die, and then you're like, oh well, I guess she's gonna make it, and then they throw the Soul Stone scene at you. I liked how Red Skull had a place in this movie. That I thought was a really weird but neat thing to throw in, and I liked his role. I swear though, that scene was so depressing where Gamora dies. Yeah, it was one of the darkest scenes I think the MCU's ever covered by far. But yeah, it was just simply amazing. Um, him getting the stones, and of course, um, the battle on Wakanda and the battle on Titan were both amazing. Doctor Strange, especially his solo fight against Thanos, was awesome, and that conversation they had beforehand was great because Thanos basically says sometimes the hardest decisions require the strongest wills, and Doctor Strange comes back with the perfect line of "I think you'll find our will equal to yours." And Doctor Strange is like for arsenal of just everything was awesome. I like the part where he like duplicated himself and threw the whip out at the like 100 whips out at Thanos. That was so cool. Um, Everyone's fight scenes were really good. Especially Iron Man's solo against Thanos at the very end of the movie. Was awesome because he nearly died. So pretty much Thanos leaves Titan beating up pretty much everyone there. It was amazing. Especially liked just how everything had to be so fine because Doctor Strange explained that he went to the future, saw 14,605 possibilities. In one of them, did the Avengers beat Thanos? And that was why he gave the time stone to Thanos before he almost kills Iron Man. Um, but we do know that the course was still on track after the Battle of Titan from the ending, which I'll get to in a minute. So that means that Star-Lord made the right choice in punching Thanos. They were not meant to get the gauntlet right then. And the fact that was actually something weird was the fact they were able to beat him so easily at the first, and then Star-Lord just completely ruins it with revenge. I thought was completely well done. The Battle of Wakanda was awesome, especially the line, "This will be the end of Wakanda," and then Okoye saying, "Then it will be the noblest ending in history." I thought that was so awesome, and it was pretty much talking about the MCU. If you think about it, they're ending. Avengers 4 is pretty much going to be the end of the MCU, and we're saying goodbye to the original six at the end, and I love it. It's like, this will be the end. And they kind of talked about Infinity War. This will be the end, but it will be the best ending ever. And it will be the perfect conclusion to something amazing. It was just, it was amazing to watch, honestly. It was absolutely incredible. And everything about it was spectacular. But let's talk about the ending. So, this film has a double ending, which is something that I have only seen myself in one other movie, that being Star Wars The Last Jedi. Or not a double ending, but a double climax, pretty much. The climax of Last Jedi happens twice. First when Snoke dies, then when Luke dies at the end. It's kind of a double climax that really worked perfectly. But this film has a double climax pretty much within inches of each other. Or like not inches, but like seconds, within seconds of each other. It's awesome. So here's what happens in the movie. Scarlet Witch is the only one who can destroy the Mind Stone. He ends up doing so. Or no, Scarlet Witch is the only one. Sorry, I got a little tongue tied. Scarlet Witch tries to destroy the Mind Stone, and she ends up succeeding. However, Thanos has the other 5 stones. So, Thanos uses the Time Stone to bring back Vision and kill him again. It was the weirdest and coolest thing ever. Because you think the movie's over when the Mind Stone's in, then Thanos gets the final Infinity Stone, completes the gauntlet, and just before he snaps, you see this giant weapon fly out of nowhere and hit Thanos in the chest. Then you see it's Stormbreaker, Thor's weapon from the movie. And Thor lands and he says, "I told you would die for that," referring to the line he gave after Loki and Heimdall died at the start of the movie. And then Thanos, after it's driven into his chest more, looks up and says, "You should have gone for the hand," and snaps his fingers. One by one, every Avenger falls. Not every Avenger, but pretty much every Avenger. Falcon, Bucky, Drax, Mantis, Star-Lord, Doctor Strange, Groot, Black Panther, and the saddest of all, Spider-Man, who was pleading that he didn't want to go. It was a dark ending. And the movie ends with Captain America leaning over Vision's body, the rest of the Avengers on Wakanda just standing there, Iron Man and Nebula alone on Titan, and Thanos sitting with the gauntlet looking out into the sunset. That's how the movie ends. And it was a perfect ending. It was the biggest cliffhanger in cinematic history, but good gosh, it was amazing. I loved it, and it leaves me so excited for Avengers 4, because I know it's going to be something amazing. And then the post-credit scene, where they kill off... They basically go through the same ending as Infinity War. They kill off Maria Hill, and right before Nick Fury dies, he sends a message on his pager. And that message is Captain Marvel. And I loved that. Because they were like, "Oh, it's all over," but there's one little tiny sliver of hope left that could save the universe. It was absolutely incredible. I loved the movie overall. But there were just a couple things that, as a devoted MCU fan, I just wanted to point out. Because I feel like a lot of people share my opinion on this, who saw Infinity War. And some people more than others. So my first problem... Oh gosh, voice crack, sorry. My first problem with the movie was that Captain America was very underused. Captain America didn't really do that much. He wasn't that strong on Wakanda. I liked him running ahead of Black Panther. I thought that was a really cool scene. But where he holds back the gauntlet, that scene that was supposed to be the biggest scene in the movie, or believed to be one of the biggest scenes in the movie, it wasn't that cool because it was pretty much Thanos just beating up all the Avengers, and then Captain America catches the gauntlet and just cast aside like he's nothing, which didn't really make much sense. So I didn't like that Cap was underused in that aspect. The other criticisms I have of this movie were that a lot of deaths went unresolved. I know the directors recently had an interview, but they basically just said everyone who didn't die was a spoiler. Now, my opinion on this may change after Avengers 4, but they didn't really review any of the deaths on Earth. Pepper, Ned, Wong, and others like, Valkyrie and Korg from Thor Ragnarok, Aunt May, they didn't talk about. Even more minor characters like Sharon Carter and Betsy Ross. We didn't get to see what happened to them, and it scares me because their fates are still unknown. Now, Valkyrie was confirmed to still be alive, but we don't know how she escaped, where she is, anything like that. The other criticism I have with this movie, the only other criticism I have with this movie, is that they didn't really explain or anything why Spider-Man was just okay with being there. Because here's the thing. Spider-Man could have easily been cast aside. Iron Man put the parachute on Spider-Man's suit. Iron Man could have pushed him off again. Iron Man let him stay, and I don't get why. I don't know if it was to show growth. And that was really the only criticism I have of the movie. A lot of people didn't like the ending. It's a cliffhanger. That's the whole point. And I get, oh, they killed off Black Panther. It's like, no. They're gonna have a sequel. They're gonna bring everyone back in Avengers 4, at least some people. And there's gonna be sequels. There will always be sequels because this is Marvel. But overall, I loved Avengers Infinity War. It was hilarious. It was a blast. It was amazing. It was visually stunning. It was the best action sequences we've seen in Marvel history. And overall, it's the best film in the Marvel Cinematic Universe. My personal favorite film of all time. And definitely a great movie. So if you haven't seen Infinity War, go see it. So yeah, that's my opinion about Avengers Infinity War. If you liked this, want to see more reviews like this of movies, let me know and I'll do more. If you liked this video, like it down below and leave a comment if you want to let me know how I did.